Hosea 13 and 1. Hosea 13 and 1. Hosea. Hoshi, can you see? 13 and 1. We're going to finish part 2 of the message that we began 2 weeks ago, entitled The Doorway to Revelation and Intimacy, Part 2. Worship, the Doorway to Revelation and Intimacy, Part 2. Worship, the Doorway to Revelation and Intimacy, Part 2. What's the name of the message? Worship, the Doorway to Revelation and Intimacy, Part 2. Hosea, and we're going to go quickly. So this may not be too deep, but the way Yahweh had us worshiping here today, during the time that we had our blackout, again, we know it's wonderful for us and it's energizing for us, but we do apologize to our radio audience. We know, and that's why we tell you to come to shul, because you can't stay at home and take for granted that the radio is going to work. And it's happened twice in the past month where the radio has gone out, has gone south. One time it was my mistake, and today Yahweh interrupted our dead service. Okay? So it was, no one will ever forget this Shavuot. Am I right? It's incredible, the timing of how Yahweh did those things. No one will ever forget.
It's the second one like that.
This is the second time it happened?
Last year.
It happened before on Shavuot?
Last year too.
On Shavuot?
It didn't turn out the lights, but it may as well have.
No power went out.
No power went out?
No.
Hosea 13:1.
May as well have though.
When Ephraim spoke, that's the 10 tribes of non-Jewish Israel. Tell your friends we're back on the air, and Shaliach Moshe is preaching and sharing the word. When Ephraim spoke, there was trembling. At one time, Ephraim was powerful. He was exalted in Israel, the 10 tribes of non-Jewish Israel, the 10 tribes of the north that broke off from the tabernacle of David. But when he offended in Baal worship, or in worshiping a generic Lord, Baal, without knowing Yahweh's true name and using the true names, he lost his power. So true worship must not be generic worship. Rather, it must be Yahweh-centric and focused in on Yahweh, because power and strength is regained by being Yahwistic, who focus in on Yahweh. We can't just worship a generic deity and expect to be empowered and energized.
All right now.
Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
So in order for us as Ephraim Israel, the 10 tribes of non-Jewish Israel, to recover their power in worship and strength in worship, it is regained by leaving the generic Baal or Lord worship and adopting Yahweh worship. Okay, seged, prostate. To bow down. The Aramaic and Hebrew are the same. Sagad, seged. Hebrew is sagad, worship. Aramaic is seged, to fall down in deep homage. The Greek is proskuneo, to review from last time, to prostrate oneself. Zephaniah 3:10. Give me a page when you get there. Zephaniah 3:10. I got it, thanks. Zephaniah 3:10. Zephaniah 3:10. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my worshipers, even the daughter of my dispersed, will bring my free will offering in worship. Let's continue, verse 11. In that day you will not be ashamed of your doings, your worship, in that you have transgressed against me. For then I will take out away the midst of you those who Gilad rejoice in your pride. You will no more be haughty because of my Kadosh Har, just because you're Israelite, my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of you an afflicted and poor people, meaning poor in spirit, for they shall inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. And they will trust not in Baal with no strength, but they will trust in the name of Yahweh. The remnant of Israel shall do no iniquity or speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. They will feed and lie down, and none will make them afraid. Roni, Roni, Bat Zion, Harihu, Yisrael. This is where it comes from. Zephaniah 3:14. This is exactly where that song comes from. Zephaniah 3:14. Roni, Roni, Bat Zion. Shout aloud, O Israel. Be in Simcha, in Gilah, with all the lave, O Bat Yerushalayim. So when we simcha, we rejoice with all the heart. When we are worshipers, not of the Lord, but of Yahweh. When we are broken in spirit, we allow Yahweh to break our pride and our self-reliance and our own understanding. Then we will not any longer be ashamed of our doings. We will be free and set free to worship Yahweh. When we are set free and we are cleansed, and here is the most of the worshipers. Now listen carefully. Most of the latter-day worshipers, look at verse 10, Zephaniah 3:10, who are the daughter of the dispersed seed of non-Jewish Israel, will bring an offering to Yahweh. The offering that they will bring to Yahweh is the sacrifice of seged, or worship, active, on fire, proactive love and adoration of Yahweh. That's what happened here today. That's exactly what happened here today. Can I hear a good amen? Amen. But notice where these worshipers are going to come from. Beyond the river of Ethiopia. In other words, can I let you white Caucasian folks in on a little secret? Most of the latter-day Israelites who are going to get this thing right and be active, proactive worshipers on fire for Yahweh, rejecting Lord worship that's generic and not focused, and are active, they prostrate, they move, they clap, they dance, they rejoice, they have Gilah, they have Simcha. Most of those offering seged will come, verse 10, from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Let me help you with a little geography. What is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia? They are on the African continent in such countries as Zimbabwe and South Africa. Ethiopia today remains mostly Jewish through Solomon's cohabitation with a certain woman. And beyond her there are many rivers where Ephraimites are found. There they shall come again to worship Yahweh and return to Israel from Africa. See, black folks don't have a problem with this message. When you give black folks the scriptures and the truth of who they are as Israel, they don't fight you with the two houses. They don't fight you with the restoration of all Israel. The white folks are sitting there reasoning the scriptures and the understanding of their generations gone past. And that's why Yahweh says in the last days, I'm going to bring seged, servants, slaves of adoration, who bow, who clap, who dance, who don't just sit on their rear end, on their blessed assurance. And most of them are going to, of the returning Israelites, who are going to be redeemed, are going to come from Africa and from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Wow. And that's why you see more black folks catching on to the two-house truth than white folks. I've seen it with my own eyes. You know why? Because it's prophetic. That's why. It's prophetic. Can I hear a good amen? Amen. So they're not going to come from Kansas. They're not going to come from Montana. They're going to come from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Who are the folks who are going to follow all of Torah? The ones who are coming from the African continent. Plural marriage? No sweat. Whole wheat unleavened bread? No sweat. Two houses? True name? We got to stop saying God and Lord? No problem. But when you deal with third and fourth and fifth generation white Methodists or Baptists, you've got a major struggle on your hands. Tehillim 5:7. Let's go quickly. We have a lot of scripture to cover. Tehillim. So again, this message, part 2, the doorway to revelation and intimacy. Tehillim 5 and 7. Tehillim 5 and 7. But as for me, I will come into your bayit, in the multitude of your rachamim, and in your fear will I worship toward your kadosh hekel. So seged, worship, must be coming into the house of Yahweh, seeking his mercy for all our shortcomings, and having a fear as we worship toward the kadosh hekel. Where's the kadosh hekel? Yerushalayim.